July 21st, 1990, Roger Waters performed The Wall in Berlin. And this whole thing about him being more important than Harry Styles and some other non-important musician is true. None of these people are ever going to do anything as significant as playing in Berlin when the walls were coming down and fall of the communist bloc countries and all that stuff. There's no way. In fact, I don't think there's any musicians, current young, music stars. Like Beyonce, really? She really done anything as much as Roger Waters? No, never will. So anyhow, today's show on July 20th, 1990 had a preview report, and then on Monday, the 23rd, they had a follow-up report. So you'll see both of these in this clip. Roger, yes, you're very important, but you don't have to tell people. They know. And boo-hoo if they didn't cover you. We all know. We know. We know.
International performers include Sinead O'Connor, Cyndi Lauper, Joni Mitchell, Bryan Adams, Van Morrison, and Marianne Faithfull, to name a few. For all concerned, to do The Wall at the Wall is a thrilling prospect.
We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control.
Since its release in 1979, Pink Floyd's album The Wall, the brainchild of Roger Waters, has sold an astonishing 19 million copies worldwide. It was so popular in 1982 the movie was released starring Bob Geldof. While The Wall had been played live on a handful of occasions, Waters never expected to perform the work again. But he changed his mind when asked to do it for the Memorial Fund for Disaster Relief.
I said, well, maybe I would do it. If they ever take the Berlin Wall down, I'll go and do it there as an act of celebration. But it was fraught with problems. We looked at the Grand Canyon and the Gobi Desert and Red Square, and Wall Street was my favorite. I thought that there would be something ironic but also dramatic about performing the piece in Wall Street. But it was beginning to kind of grind a bit until November the 9th when the wall came down.
The original idea for this unique live event came from Sir Leonard Cheshire, famous in England for his charity work.
The idea is to create a global fund for disaster relief, but I've related it to those who lost their lives in the wars of this century. 100 million. My aim is to collect $10 as a permanent memorial, living memorial, to each life. A fund of $1 billion.
Cheshire and Waters flew out to Berlin a couple of days after the wall came down to look for a concert location. They picked the historic site of Potsdamer Platz, a scrubby area of no man's land between East and West Berlin. Once known as the busiest place in Europe, and since 1961 as the Death Strip, it was the heavily mined and guarded area that distanced East from West. Promoters claim the Wall 1990 set will be the largest ever built. Construction has taken over a month. It will feature a specially erected 600-foot-high wall. Monster puppets the size of 6-story buildings will loom over the audience, and helicopters with searchlights will sweep over the crowd.
Essentially, it's a theatrical performance. One of the events of musical theatre of this decade, 100 years, millennium, whatever you want to call it.
Cheshire hopes that his fund will raise money to be used for future disaster aid.
I know of disasters, dreadful disasters, that never mention the newspapers. The other day, 2,000 people killed in South India by a cyclone, hardly mentioned in the newspaper. So my eyes are set on that.
What do you expect to happen, actually, the day of the concert?
I'd like to see as many people tuned into it as possible. I'd like them sharing in the joy. Because you have to have joy in life. But in the knowledge that this is remembering some past sacrifice of whatever nationality.
You can see what a compelling movie that was, and I expect that at such a historic location it will be a potent and poignant experience too, as well as raise money for a very good cause. And we will, of course, have a wrap-up for you on the concert Monday morning. Joe?
Thank you, Rona. Great. of an unusual and historic musical event this weekend. Some of the biggest names in rock and roll stood in the shadow of the wall and performed The Wall. Today, music correspondent Rona Elliott is in Berlin this morning with a wrap-up of this groundbreaking event. Rona, good morning.
Hi, Katie. You know, in 1979, Pink Floyd's Roger Waters created the concept album The Wall. It was a story about alienation. While it wasn't written about the Berlin Wall, it has always been a good fit. So when the opportunity to perform The Wall for charity arose and Berlin became a real possibility, the unimaginable happened, a rock show of spectacular proportions. On Saturday night, over 200,000 people gathered in an area of Berlin that's been called no man's land for 28 years. The show would have been inconceivable without recent events in Eastern Europe, notably November 9th, 1989.
November 9th, this place was an absolute zoo.
One American soldier stationed here in Berlin played the part of an army general in the production. He could not believe the pace of changes.
A year ago, if we were sitting in the same spot, we'd be dead or we'd be hauled off to jail. And I think that's really astounding, the way things have come around. Had you told me 2.5 years ago before I came over that the wall was going to come down when I was here, I would have said, you're out of your mind. But it's just been great. To do it right here on the death strip has been fantastic.
International rock artists traveled to Berlin to perform Pink Floyd's rock epic The Wall at The Wall. It was a theatrical extravaganza.
And the thing that struck me was it was a very inspired choice of casting, really, all around, because there's nobody here that's kind of flavor of the month. It's a fairly eclectic group of people, and if you'd asked me who my top 5 artists of all time were, then at least 3 or 4 of them are here, you know, which is amazing.
Because they're building up the wall and tearing it down. I thought that was the great thing. And I was dancing on Hitler's grave, and I liked it.
This is like United Nations of rock, isn't it?
Commander Manfred Fleck, part of the security team for the concert site, used to be in charge of East German border guards for this stretch of the wall. He said he'd had to hire more men than he used to, but he'd had no shortage of volunteers. For the first time ever, orchestras, rock bands, and military marching bands representing East and West performed on the same stage together.
Remember how she said we would meet again.
This spectacle was the brainchild of Sir Leonard Cheshire, an ex-British World War II bomber pilot. Famous for his charity work, he set up the Memorial Fund for Disaster Relief and hopes to raise $10 for every life lost in wars this century, $1 billion.
It's a real dream come true. It also has a symbolism. I mean, that Great Wall, to me, symbolizes not only the barriers between nations, but the walls that close us in.
It was a dream come true for many concert-goers, too. A celebration for a good cause, complete with rock stars, good music, fireworks, and fans from East and West Germany, Europe, and all around the world, with hopes of affirming a future and freedom together. What made this event so special was that everybody, from production people to rock stars, were thrilled to be here, with the hope that music would help build a bridge between cultures. Katie?
Rona, did they actually build a wall in front of the wall? Is that what we were seeing with all the crosses on it?
Yeah, it was a wall that was actually located between the old wall and the inside wall that was inside of East Berlin, and that was where the stage was located. It was quite extraordinary.
Looks like it. Thanks, Rona.
Yeah.
We're back in a moment with more on Today, right after this.
Thank you for watching Cleveland Live Music. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. There's Patreon and GoFundMe information in the video descriptions. Thanks for watching. Thanks for making the channel grow so much.